Hey guys, it's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to my channel, 3 Degrees of Love. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Um, and if you're already returned, thank you for being here. And if you haven't subscribed, again, please subscribe. Um, so I wanted to just sort of put this out. This is sort of one of my random sort of thought kind of videos. Again, I waking up today, this being a very special date, sort of golden date portal, spiritual portal, because it's significance with the number two, right? Being February the 22nd, the year 2022. And then, amazing synchronicity that happened just sort of before I had decided to do this video. I happened to look at the time, and it was 2:22 on the very day with a whole bunch of twos. And and to make it even more crazy, I had to plug in my phone, and what do we look over at to see at 2:22 on February the 22nd, 2022? But my battery, which was at 22%. If that's not a moment of synchronicity, I don't know what is, okay? So, you know, I've been hearing a lot of things about numbers and synchronicities and angel numbers and things like that a lot lately. In the last little while, I've been on this spiritual, ascension and journey and stuff like that in the last couple of years. But even in the last several months, weeks, and things like that, I've been seeing a lot more synchronicities and things like that. And when it comes to numbers and sort of it piquing my interest in wanting to, dive in further and learn more, and realizing that, there has to be significance on what is it. So of course, doing the research and looking up angel numbers online and stuff like that, and really paying attention. And of course, as I'm paying attention to those things, I'm also realizing and recognizing that there are the popular numbers, right? The ones that are in consecutive. So whether it be the ones or the 222s or the 333s, etc., right? And all those different numbers have different sort of messages or significance, thing, right? And representations, right? So 10 being the number that represents, completion and beginning again, right? And stuff like that. And then of course there's, the idea of life path numbers and numerology and all of that stuff, right? So and all that stuff is fascinating, right? And so there's so many thoughts right now that are going through my head that I just sort of want to get out, and I'm going to go on many different tangents. So please excuse me, because that's probably going to happen. So like right now, okay, I'm taking a break from what I was just saying, and as I'm mentioning numbers, right, I'm thinking, okay, math, right, and the significance of math, and then leading into that, when we talk about science and biology and things like that, and you have those that are, whether you consider themselves atheists or agnostic, because they believe, neither here nor there. It's just what is, right? And it's like, but it's all connected. It's all connected because science, when you think about science, right, and stuff like that, and math, and all of those are logistics and sort of logical ways of thinking, numbers, whatever. But if you really dive deeper, those numbers and things like that do still have a connection to spirituality in a way, if you really took the time to pay attention, right? So when we talk about, the numbers, and even as I said, 10 being a representation of completion and beginning again, we also have 5, which is the number, the halfway point, the sort of the flip of change, right? Meaning change and things like that. So then I started thinking, okay, well, what about all the other numbers? When we look at the time, right, and a date, and then even two, where we think about life path and numbers and what that means to develop your life path. When you look at numerology, you're adding up basically the numbers of your birth, right, when you were born, right, and then and sort of understanding where that, that when you look at what your birth chart is and your neonatal chart, well, all that's math and angles and directions as well, right? Again, that's all math, right? When you add, you subtract, you divide, you do whatever, right? I'm not a mathematician, but, like, all that does have a meaning, right? And it's like it's sort of like this sort of map of our life, right? And and then of course when you want to put in geometry there with all the angles and things like that. Okay, see, now I'm going off in a tangent. This is exactly what I was talking about, right? Okay. So anyway, all of this stuff, like I said, was going on in my head today, okay? And a lot of this sort of was going on while I was in the shower or whatever. But like I said, I'm always in my head, so I live there, Anyway, so as I again, connecting the numbers and spirituality, like I said, there was the popular numbers of the ones and the twos and whatever, right? But then what about the numbers that randomly come up, like, if I happen to look at the time and, okay, right now it's 3:00, like right on the dot, right? Then I started thinking, okay, well, what was I thinking about right at that moment? And this is where, and then deciding, okay, well, maybe this might be something significant that I need to remember. So let me write this down. Well, at 3:00, whatever, if I really want to go further, I can even write down the date and everything too, right? And then, and then decide later, okay, now I'm going to research these numbers and what does it have to say or mean? What if I, research it online, angel number, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? And then how does that relate to whatever the thought was that I had in my head at that very moment? Then I started thinking, okay, well, you could pretty much do that with anything, right? And I'm like, this is how, I guess, our angels and our guides and everything talk to us. This is a way of communicating, right? If we really listen and we pay attention. Listening isn't just with your ears, it's with every sense of being, right? Like you listen, you take stock of what you're hearing, what you're observing, and what is the message that you're to gain from that. That's basically the definition of listening, right? So, so then I'm like, okay, well, if I really want to, I can, figure it out. And of course, those who are spiritual, and whether you be Christian, or whatever your religion is that you identify with, there could be a significance. So a lot of these big books, teachings, i.e. the Bible, right, is filled with numbers and messages. You have all these books, right? You have all these chapters, you have all these lines, and all of them have a number. Think about it. Seeing a number that is constantly repetitive and you're seeing it and constantly, that ain't my chance. That's a message. It's up to you now to decipher that message and figure that out. Whether it be you look up the angel number online, whether you consult your Bible, or whatever your religious knowledgeable book is, so whether it be the Quran or whatever, right? Yeah. So on this day of in this portal, this is all the stuff that has been flooding my mind and going in and out that I've been thinking about. So synchronicities, deja vus. Things don't come to us just by chance. The relationships that we entertain, that we come across, the people in our lives, the situations that we experience, good and bad, they're of significance. So all of that has led me to believe that, you know what, everything that has gone on in my life, every painful experience that I've ever had to endure and go through, there has to be a reason. And I do realize that for no other reason, it is to bring me to this very point today where I can make sense of everything. At least attempting to and still trying to. Right? I am who I am because of my experiences. And I don't know who I would be without them. Good and bad. There's everything in life is a teachable moment. We're lifelong students, and that is the experience as I see it, as love is. We live our lives, we listen, and we learn. So on that note, I will leave you to do just that. To continue walking and functioning in life, living in love. Take care, everyone. Till next time.
No matter what people want you to believe, don't ever turn back.